Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel and another episode of Unloaded Uncovered podcast with me, Magda Desir, your host. If you notice, I have a mic. I'm just saying I've upgraded a little bit, so hopefully you can hear me well. Today I have Thandi. Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me to be on the show. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here. It's so lovely having you here.
Thank you.
How's your day going? I was going to say the day, but how's your day going?
It's really busy. There's no such day as no day is the same. And so far I've done my workout. I've done a few coaching clients and I'm getting ready for a keynote. So I've been practicing my keynote. And so now I'm here with you. And so it's been a really busy and productive day.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. So first question, I asked how your day was going. You told me. How is life going right now?
Yeah, I would say life now, it's going a lot better. 2 years ago, if you would have asked me that question, I would be like, girl, I don't know how to respond. But I would say now, after we'll talk about this later, I'm sure, for my cancer journey, it's been challenging, right? But now I have such a great appreciation for life. And every day I live, it's like, okay, thank you for this opportunity to be a blessing to someone else and even to my family. And so I would say life now is good. 2 years ago, it was very difficult, to be honest.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna get into that. Okay, well, I'm glad that life is good now. So since you said life is good now, how did we get here?
Yeah, and that's a loaded question. And I would say, to kind of give you the shortened version of it, in 2021, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And before that, my life on paper, you would think I was doing well. I had been married for 14 years, 2 kids, working as a marketing executive in advertising, was doing a thing.
Right.
And then, every story has a plot twist. And so my plot twist came on November 1st, 2021. Unexpected. I found my own lump and found out that I had breast cancer. And so the journey was supposed to just be 2 months, Magda, just 2 months, have my surgery, have reconstruction, and go back to work. That's not how my story ends. My journey went from 2 months to 12 months. So I had 4 surgeries, 16 rounds of chemo, and 30 rounds of radiation, all within 12 months.
16 rounds of chemo and 30 rounds of...
Yes. I was completely bald. So I saved my locks and reattached them after my journey. But yes, it was an awakening. It really was, but it allowed me to really understand how important life can be and how fast it can be snatched away and how to enjoy and cherish every moment.
Wow. First of all, I didn't even, we had the little conversation before and I was like, oh my God, you're a lot girly. Wow. Yeah. How long were you growing your hair for?
So prior to the diagnosis, it was about 7 years. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad you saved them.
I did. Really I didn't know you could do that until someone said, Thandi, you go ahead and cut your locks, you take control. And that's a key theme that I found out. There are some things that when we're going through adversity, we don't have control over, but some things I had control over, and my hair was one of them. And I said, well, if I'm going to have to go through chemo, I'm going to cut these locks off. And then, as my hair began to grow back, of course, reattach them. But I had to find out what are those specific things that I can control, because oftentimes you feel as though everything is not in your control.
Yeah, I learned that quickly last year. Yes. Now, being in the situation that I was in, everyone kind of has that. You lose your job, then you have to start back over. But when you've worked hard to get to a certain point in life and you're like, finally, I'm on my feet, I'm on this, I'm not depending on parents, I'm not depending on family, and it kind of hits you in the gut like, damn. So I totally get that part. I totally understand that. But for you, when you were going through that in 2021, what was your mindset? What was your thought process? What were you feeling?
Yeah, it depended on the time of day, right? Some days I was dropping F-bombs. I was angry. I was mad. I asked why probably a gazillion times. Then the other days, my faith kicked in. And I said, you know what? I don't know why this is happening. I may not ever understand why, but I began to define my why. And I always tell people, when you're going through, there's a difference between asking why and defining your why. When you ask why, it kind of puts us into this place of of victimization, but when we define our why, it puts us into a place of control, right? And so anytime you're going through adversity or a challenge, whether it's chemo, radiation, whether it's a breakup, losing your job, it's important to, because you may not ever understand why, because things are bigger than us. And so it's important to say, okay, well, if I'm gonna get through this, what is my why? What is my purpose? What is my driven force?
Got it. So what was your why?
My why was my family. That was the first one. My family, like I said, at the time, the kids were 8 and 5. I've been married for 14 years. And also, Magda, to be honest, I knew I wasn't done yet. I said, oh no, I cannot leave this earth as is, because there's still purpose that I have not fulfilled yet. And I need to get some things done. And so I said, I am not done yet.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You really put that out there, and you was like, you know what? I understand what I'm going through. I'm here. I'm doing it. And it's like you're kind of accepting, not your fate, but accepting that this is happening.
Exactly.
But at the end, you were like, all right, this is it. Once we get through with this,
yes,
full speed.
Full throttle. You hear me? I'm telling you. No, for sure. And to your point, when you ask, how am I feeling? How was I feeling? What was my mindset? Again, it depended on the time of day. But one thing that I learned was, life is all about perspective. Your situation will change when your mindset changes. And so we often underestimate the power of our mind and the power of our words. And so in those days that I felt like really bad, very depressed, very down, I am big on affirmations. And so I would say an affirmation, or I would read something to kind of help me to stay motivated, and also surround myself with positive family and friends when I wasn't having those positive days. Because, regardless of what you're going through, you need those strong people, especially if you're used to being the strong one. You need someone to be in your corner to be strong when you're going through it. So that's another thing. Make sure you have that support system.
Got it. Okay, so there's 2 questions. The first question, were you ever pissed at God? Like
yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt. If you would have asked me that, and it's so funny you asked me that, because it's as strong as my faith is, I would be afraid and ashamed to say that because of the upbringing. You don't question God, don't do this. But I say, at the end of the day, God knows my heart. God knows what I'm thinking. He understands. And so, yes, I was pissed. I was angry. And it took me probably 2 years, if I can be honest, Magda, to completely trust again.
Really? To completely trust God again?
To completely trust. I was saying it, I was going through the motions, but I didn't realize there was a barrier, and I didn't realize there was something that was saying, you know what, I don't want this rug to get swept under me again. I don't want my life to be disrupted again. So I'm just going to put this boundary up and not say anything. I'm still praying. I'm still going to church. I'm still believing, but the trust factor, I was afraid to trust again because of the way my life was completely disrupted.
You know what? Throughout all the guests that I've had, no one has ever said, I was afraid to trust again. So, okay, I know I had a second question, but we're gonna keep going with this one, because I'm interested in learning that one. Because I'm not gonna lie, I know people are like, Magda, we heard you talk about that, but I was at a point where when everything got ripped underneath me, home, job, material stuff, this, that, and like, the same way I went to Atlanta, 2 suitcases in a book bag, was the same way I came back home, 2 suitcases in a book bag. You know what I'm saying? And then I was pissed at God. Like, I told somebody, I was like, if ever my soul reaches upstairs, I'm gonna need to see God in the ring real quick, because I got questions. We need a one-on-one, sir, because I got questions. So you said that it took you a while to trust. In that process of it taking 2 years to trust, like, what was one thing that made you go like, you know what, this is effed up, but I have to put my faith like before me, instead of putting, how you're like putting your faith over your ego, because right there, that ego was prominent. How did you switch it? Like, how did you switch that?
And it was a progression. It wasn't like a light switch came on or came off. I journal a lot. I do a lot of meditation. And so one day I just heard the voice. This was not a punishment. It was realignment. I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And so I was like, all the things that I went through, I realized that it wasn't punishment. It was kind of getting some things out of me, even though I know the cancer was in me, but I had some things that were cancerous that was beyond the typical me, like anxiety and imposter syndrome. And I believe that as I was going through all of that, God was removing that from me as well. And so it wasn't punishment. It was just realigning my thoughts, my steps into who I should become and my purpose.
Dang, it wasn't punishment. It was realignment. Now, when you heard that voice, me, I'm the type of person who's like, well, could you have done something else besides get me sick versus getting me sick? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you could have did something else versus get me sick. So after you heard that voice that it was realignment, what was like, to me, that sounds like an aha moment. You know what I mean? Like a light bulb went off. After that light bulb went off, what was the first thing that you did?
I was still angry. I was like, okay, I understand it's not punishment, it's not real, but it's a realignment. But why did it have to happen that way? Because in my mind, I thought I had done everything that I could to stay cancer free. I exercised, ate well, checked every box, breastfed both kids so I would stay away from, breast cancer. So I was under the impression that I was good. And so I was like, okay, well, why did I have to go that route? I don't understand why. But now, Magda, now that I see 2 years post my journey, when I see all of the doors that are opening for me to be able to use the gifts, the realignment, to be able to shed light and to inspire others, whether it's on the stage, whether it's me coaching or consulting, everything now is beginning to align. And so it's like, okay, that's what this was all about. And so now, everyone is called to a different audience. And I believe that my biggest audience would be, of course, women, and then also cancer survivors. How can I be the beacon of hope? How can I be that voice for those who are suffering in silence, and for those 1 in 8 women who will be diagnosed with breast cancer? And so now I'm on fire. It took a while to get here after I was, I went from being pissed off to like slowly accepting, like you said earlier, I accepted the reality of the situation. And now it's like, okay, what do we do now?
What do we do now? That's Thandi, that's wow. Like to wow, I don't even have words. Okay, so what do we do now? Now, well, my second question, I know we kind of like stayed on track with that one. Well, my second question was how you're if you don't mind me, this is a precursor question to the actual question. You're still married, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this
17
is
years now.
follow-up question. How did that affect your marriage?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's not a question that I get often, but I think it's a question that people need to ask so that they can hear the truth. And I've heard so many horror stories. I've heard so many changes. And you have to understand, when you're going through a cancer journey or a cancer diagnosis, it doesn't just impact you. It impacts the entire family, the entire village. And so you have to understand, my husband went from seeing me with locks almost down to my butt to bald and no hair. I mean, everywhere. It was gone. Chemo took all the hair away. And so I went through physical changes. I went through mental changes. And prior to cancer, I was like vibrant, always energetic. And then when I was on my chemo days, I was like just tired and so fatigued, where I could I'm just like laying here fatigued and can't even really function with the kids. And so it took a mental toll on our marriage. And my husband and I, we have been together since we were 18. We met together. We met at Florida A&M University. And so we started off as like platonic friends. And so it's really, I thank God for those fundamental moments, because it wasn't about beauty and boobs and hair. It was like, you know what? I just want you to survive so that you can
I'm listening.
I want you to survive so that you can be here for the long run, as my wife and as the mother of my children. And so, of course, things change, sexually, because I have all these scars now. And so I had to really figure out, okay, Thandi, yes, your body may have changed, but you're still here. And I had to get over that. And he was like, Thandi, it is what it is, but I had to get over that fact that I'm looking in the mirror and I have all these scars and my body is changing or has changed. And so that's something that I had to deal with, but he was okay.
Okay. All right. And how were the babies? How were the children at the time?
It's interesting, even though they were 8 and 5, they have, my kids have old souls. And so they asked a lot of questions and they were very involved. And I believe in being very transparent. I call myself Thandi 2.0. Thandi 1.0 wouldn't have been as transparent. I would have had on my superwoman cape trying to be strong and yes, I got this. But Thandi 2.0 2.0, I was like, you know what, kids, sometimes mommy can go outside and play soccer with you. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I can do this. Sometimes I can't. I'm going through a period of time right now, but I will overcome it. And they were with me every step of the way. My daughter would bring me water. My son would be like, mommy, let's go exercise. And so they were very supportive. They were my amen corner. And I really believe that their faith grew because of that experience, because they saw me in my raw, authentic self.
That's beautiful. Like to have, I think personally, in my personal opinion, I truly believe that children are a little bit more accepting of situations, hard situations, than us adults, because they're still true to themselves. The world hasn't really put that much of an impression on them, because they're still accepting anyone, no matter the the differences between them. And I'm happy to hear that your children were, there for you, your cheerleaders, helping you, having that also probably, letting you know, mommy, it's okay. It's okay. You'll be fine.
Yes.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yes.
I love that.
You.
I'm not
Thank
gonna
you
lie.
so much.
I rock with the kids, but sometimes I'll be like, y'all gotta go.
Yes, but to that point, so y'all have to go. Some days we had to really depend on our village, because my husband and I, we couldn't always do everything, and so we had to really depend on our village, whether it's family and friends, and say, hey, we need help with meal prep, we need help, just can you come get the kids for a little bit, we need help with X, Y, and Z. So you can't be afraid to ask for help, because you will need it.
Yeah, I'm learning that too, asking for help. I'm the type of person where if I ask you for help and you take too long, forget it, I'm gonna do it myself.
Me too.
I was raised the only child on my mother's side when I was on my father's. So if you take too long after I ask you for something, I'm gonna get up and do it myself, because I'm not. I can't. I'm slightly impatient. But that's so just great to hear. Okay, so now you went through the chemo, radiation, had the cancer, went through some hurdles in your marriage, had to be honest and open and transparent and authentic with your children. Now that everything's done, cancer's gone, right?
Yeah, it's gone. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank God. Cancer is gone. Now Thandi is in full throttle. Full throttle doing what? What we full throttle through? What did we get to? You know what I'm saying? Talk about that.
How much time do we have? I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
As long as you want, sis.
No, I'm telling you, like I had an awakening, once I went through that journey, and I realized, like I said earlier, life can be snatched away from you immediately. I have such a greater appreciation. And I said, okay, well, what are we doing now? And I always say, your cancer journey doesn't end. The treatment may end, but the journey is continuous, because survivorship is a whole different journey that people don't really focus on. The mental component, the physical component, there's a lot that still goes on even after your last round of chemo and radiation. But I went back to work as a marketing executive after my treatment, and I was sitting in these meetings, talking about revenue and with these clients. I'm like, I did not fight to survive to do this. And so I've always had like the entrepreneurial spirit. I was working on my exit strategy even before my cancer journey. I was like, okay, this is what I need to exit. This is blah, blah, blah. This is what I want to do. I was kind of designing my life. How would I want my life to be? And then the plot twist came. And so this really accelerated my entrepreneurship journey. And so I left corporate May 31st of last year to pursue my own business, the Thandi Montgomery brand, Thandi Montgomery LLC. And my whole mission is to help women shift from existing to living. That is my mission in life, because I feel as though that's what happened to me during my journey. I was, living, I was on that proverbial hamster wheel, but now I truly believe that I am living. Yes.
You shifted from existing to living.
Yes.
Look how, okay, now I understand the alignment. I get it now. I get it. I see, man, God, sometimes that's a little rough, yo. Like, God, how you just gonna throw something like that at me just to get aligned? Okay. I'm just like thinking about it and like listening to you and thinking about, your journey. Like, you really had to like hit me that hard with some cancer in order for me to be like, to live life.
Yes.
Bro, that's unhinged.
I'm like, you just like whisper my ear, like, Thandi, realign and go here, go there. But you know what? I probably wouldn't have listened as much, as my eyes wouldn't have been as open. My ears would have been as open. And so now it's like, okay, when you go through something with somebody, you get closer. And it's like, okay, God, we've been through the hardest time of my life. And so now, like I said, I can finally start trusting again. And it's crazy.
That is, like, in all honesty, that is. That's crazy. That
Mm-hmm.
is just like, wow. I'm happy for you. I'm floored, but
Thank
I'm
you.
happy for you. It sounds like what you're doing is very fulfilling. It seems like
It is.
you're on your path. This is your
Yeah.
mission. All right. So now that you're helping women to go from existing to living with the clients and the coaching and the consulting that you've been doing so far, it's been over a year now, right?
Yes. Yes.
What is one client that you're like whose life that you have transformed from existing to living?
Yes. Whew. It's interesting because I actually met with her today.
Oh,
And it's interesting because she's also going through she went through her cancer journey, and she was trying to figure out, what do I do now? And so I wrote this course called Resilient Narratives. And basically, if I walk them through, people who've gone through their cancer journey or any type of trauma, I walk them through this 8-week course to figure out, okay, how do you tell your story? How do you get into that creative flow state? How do you write your narrative? How do you turn that narrative into a documentary? Or how do you turn that narrative into a podcast or a book? And so from there, then how do you do a project plan? How do you do that creative flow state? How do you market this thing? And then we have a creative showcase. And so she was in my class, and now she's a client of mine, and she was asking, how do I do this? And now to see her on social media talking about her journey, having her content plan, it is just remarkable.
okay. I'm gonna say this. What day is this? Monday, right? Monday I had this is it ties into what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Monday I had a branding session for myself and this podcast, right?
Wow.
Right? So it was about a 3-4 hour branding session because I've known this person for a very long time, and she's really, really good at what she does. And the entire time I'm, in there and I'm talking to her, I also work in marketing too. So
Okay.
I know what that looks like for other people, but when you do it for yourself,
that part.
I'd be like, why is it not working? So we're in this session, and she was like, why are you here? And I was like, you want the real? She was like, yeah. I said, I don't know what the F I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So she was like, okay. She's like, do you know why you don't know what you're doing? I said, because I don't know my narrative. And then when you stated that solidified what I need to do. Yeah. And that solidified the path of where I'm currently am and where I'm going. It's, you know what? Okay, God, I'm paying attention because I'm a little hard-headed, but I'm paying attention. And it's just like the perfect, what you just said resonated with me because that's where I'm currently at in my life. For me and this podcast. That is insane. Wow. Look at the connection.
Yes.
Oh, girl, I'm just taking it all in. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that. So that's what you do. You make sure that your clients hone in on their narrative.
Yes.
On their narrative.
Yes.
And then be able to go online and talk about it.
Yes, or whatever medium. If they want to have an audience of 1, if they want to have an audience of 1,000, if they want to be speakers, then I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do to get you on the circuit. And so really just focusing on, okay, I've done this, now what? And so that is a part of my healing. Like I said, the cancer journey, I would say, is never over. But as I begin to heal, as I begin to help other women tell their story, there is something in me that is like, this is it. This is it. And I had that aha and that epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, I am living out my purpose. This is exactly why I was born. This is why I was born. I'm not sitting in a boardroom and talking about revenue. No, although that's fine, that's good. But I'm using those same skills to be able to help position other women to be able to live their full life. And that is how I go to sleep, just smiling and thanking God, and how I wake up with so much energy in the morning. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it again.
That's amazing. It's like our pitfalls, our lowest points in life always realigns us to greatness.
Yes. Let me tell you one of my favorite quotes. My favorite quote by Mark Twain, it kind of picks up what you said, is the 2 most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. And that's my favorite quote. If you think about that and unpack it, oftentimes, we figure out, we know the day we were born, but we don't know why. And so once you find out those 2 connections,
you went full throttle for real.
Yes.
You went full throttle. That is amazing. I love it. I loved your story.
Thank you.
This was great. This was really, really great. I loved how, it looked dim. It looked dark. It made you feel angry, at least you were honest about it. I appreciate you being honest about it, because a lot of people are not honest about them being mad at God, or them, upset, or like me wanted to fight God, because why you do that? You know what I mean? I truly appreciate that, because I wasn't alone. I said that one time online. A couple of times I've said that I wanted to get in the ring with God and be like, and get my lick back. Like, what you doing? And somebody would hit me up like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm human. I don't have to sit here and be like, everything is all peaches and cream. And, me and God got this solid relationship. We do, but I can still be pissed off at some things that are happening. It's not necessarily saying I am being defiant, or I am like disrespecting God. If I have a relationship to where I can be like, God, I'm mad. I don't like this. I want to fight you right now because of this. It's not like I'm, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm being disrespectful. It's just, that's what I'm feeling at the moment.
Exactly.
That's what I want to do, because you making me mad right now. But
and more people need to talk about that, because I believe if we created that space for people to talk about it, there will be less suicides, there will be less, just all these school shootings. But oftentimes we feel as though we have to be in this perfect box and we have to perform all the time. But if we created this space, like your amazing podcast, continue to create this space for people to be able to tell their truth and be open and honest without any judgment. And so we need more platforms like you and more podcast hosts like you that are creating these opportunities for people to share authentically.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Thandi. I really do, because it was hard. It's hard to tell your story and then being judged about it. The whole, when I watched the whole Risa Tisa story and what she went through, everyone was like, oh, that's stupid. I would never do that. Why you ain't see the, like, sometimes I'm like y'all ain't never been stupid before in your life, or like y'all ain't never did nothing for a man before or a woman before that was dumb. Like, let's be for real. Sure. And when you're watching that and you're looking at that, you can also see yourself in certain situations, whether it is romantic, whether it is platonic. You can see like, okay, I did something stupid. I remember me doing something like that. It was stupid, but it was just how she was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on this platform and I'm gonna tell my story. And I know I'm gonna get judged. I know I'm gonna get talked about, but look how it turned her life around. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then for me back in the day, I used to want to come and tell my story, but being of Caribbean descent, you can't talk about the culture like that in a negative way, because it's as if you're being defiant or disrespectful, when I'm just talking about my own personal experience. But let me get off my soapbox. But no, for real though, I do, like, seriously, I really do appreciate, as I'm thinking about it, I don't think I've ever had a guest that said that they were upset or mad at God for what was happening. That really hit home for me, because a year ago I was in that same spot. So I really truly appreciate you for being honest and being transparent and allowing yourself to be like, yeah, I was there. I definitely felt that. But now that I went through it, I'm out here killing it, changing lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that for you.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, before we end, what is one piece of advice that you would give?
Live your truth. Live your truth, because life is short. People are just dying left and right. I've had classmates that died, recently, and you only get one chance. You only get one chance to live this life. And so instead of living based on societal norms, instead of living based on what your parents want, instead of living based on what your spouse, what your children want, live your truth. And that's something that I tell people all the time. Don't waste time on people and things that don't matter, but take the time to live your truth and do what you want based on the life that you deserve.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we finna end it right now, because that right there, you know what I'm saying? I need to drop the bomb. But before we go, again, where can people find you online?
Yes, so you can go to www.Thandi Montgomery, and that's ThandiMonee.com. You can also find me on Instagram as well as TikTok under Thandi Montgomery. Again, that's ThandiMonee.
All right, Thandi Montgomery, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
It was an honor. No, seriously, it was an honor. Your story and your work with your recent client was confirmation for me, and in what I'm currently doing for myself in my life at this point. So this was right on time. I swear, the universe really puts you guys, like, the guests right on time, or right during a transition, or right when I'm about to pivot and do something else. You guys are literally aligned with what I'm doing personally, and I don't talk about it a lot because I just be like, let me be quiet. Then you guys come on, and I'm like, y'all been in my journal, like,
wow, yeah.
How does this work? But I appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end the episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, follow Thandi, and follow this podcast, Unload and Uncover Podcast, on Instagram. And we'll see you all next week in a brand new episode. Good night, good day, and have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.